You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
What is up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast. This is an extra special one. As you can probably hear in my voice, I have been ill this week, and it wasn't just me. All of my guests for this week also fell ill. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. So I'm going to be recording multiple times a day, almost every day next week to try to catch back up. But so it goes. But I figured, why not take some lemons and squeeze them into some lemonade here and do something I haven't done in quite a while. And that is a vintage reissue episode of sorts. This episode is from almost a decade ago, a little over 9 years ago, if you can believe that. That's how long this show has been going. And this episode is the first time I had a long conversation with my now good friend, Mr. Joel Korte from Chase Bliss, who have been supporting this podcast for the last, 6 years or so, 7 years. So it's been a long ride that we've been on together, and I've enjoyed every second of it. For a little context, I recorded this episode on my iPhone. I think it was an iPhone 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly. In the fuel lab where I used to work. Literally in the middle of the day, I scheduled a call with Joel. We hopped on a new, at the time, technology where you could record your call, and it would actually record you on your end and your guest on their end and upload the MP3 files. So it doesn't sound nearly as bad as you might expect for a guy recording an episode in a somewhat noisy fuel lab on an old iPhone through earbuds. Although there's a good chance that a train came through on this episode. I can't remember if it happened on this one or not. There was a rail line that ran right through the center of that facility, and those early episodes would often have a train on them as a result of that, because they would come through very, very slow because it was a hazardous facility. And some of those guys would be on the horn for the whole 45 seconds that it took them to get through that intersection. So some of these vintage episodes have those additional Foley sounds on them, we'll call it. But yeah, I thought this would be fun. And then as an addition for the bonus episode on Patreon, I did another vintage reissue of a somewhat different sort. So if you're into that, please go over to Patreon where you can check out all that good stuff. And without further ado, let's get into this old episode. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the tonemob.com podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. And with me today, I have a very special guest, one I've been trying to wrangle for a while, and the stars just would not align with our weird schedules. But finally, it's happened, and I give you Mr. Joel Korte of Chase Bliss. Hello, sir.
Hello there. I'm glad that this is finally happening. We did it. We're doing it.
It is good.
We win.
The timing couldn't be better.
Yeah.
So things have been nuts for you, and everyone is freaking out about the Chase Bliss stuff. So congrats on that, first off.
Well, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's been it's been kind of a wild ride. That's sort of, everyone says that. That's kind of dumb. But it feels like that. It's been a lot of work, but I'm pretty happy with where things are at. Oh, I also should say at the top of the show, I always like to say this if I'm on a podcast or doing any kind of public speaking or whatever, because it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, is that I stutter. So sometimes it might sound weird, but I'm talking, and that's just me stuttering. And hopefully by me saying this, then the listeners will listen to what I'm saying rather than how I'm saying it. Hopefully,
I don't think you'll have any problems.
Your listeners are nice people. You're saying?
Well, some of them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they're good. They're the best listeners ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't let them listen if they weren't. I would turn it off. I just reach through the speakers and turn it off.
Well, the nice thing is you have control over that.
Yeah, I totally do.
Mm-hmm.
I put this out only for the very best listeners, and I don't let anyone that I don't like listen to it. So
I feel like we could just talk about this the whole time.
We could talk about this the whole time if you want. I can get into the science behind it, but it's really kind of proprietary technology that I don't want revealed.
No, I understand.
Which I'm sure you can understand.
Yeah. We shouldn't. As tempting as it may be.
So I this is actually good for me because I do know about your products pretty well and everything, and most people do. I only vaguely know the backstory behind yourself and your company. So why don't we kind of start with, when did you start playing guitar and how did that lead into what you're doing today, basically?
Right on. I always kind of struggle with this question because I could make it an hour long, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to try to do the super condensed version of how
we have an hour. So you're good.
You probably want to ask a follow-up question or something, or maybe even
depends on how interesting it is.
Maybe even I'll ask you a question or two, or is that not allowed?
No, you can. I don't know if I'll have a very good answer for it. I'm really bad at being on the other side of the interview table. So,
well,
but you can ask.
Okay. All right. I started to play guitar when I was 14 or 15 years old. The way I remember it starting, I was interested in it. And I told my mom one time when we were driving that if I could do my life over again, I would learn to play the guitar. And then she said, I'm crazy. I was like 14 or 15 and, kind of laughed at me. And then we went and got a guitar at Guitar Center the next weekend. So started playing, and I guess she started to. I was interested in recording at the beginning, and that's when I kind of got interested in effects with the various plugins and things like that.
Right.
And then later, I was in college and trying to figure out what I wanted to study, and I'd kind of gotten more interested in recording, and I was, trying to find the best stuff for recording on a budget and things like that, and kind of playing my guitar and just wondering how all of that stuff worked. And then I decided, I did some research and emailed some companies, and I should go back and look at who I emailed. I wonder if it's anyone I know now. That'd be kind of funny.
That would be funny.
And they're like, this is the type of work electrical engineers, this is what they do. So I was like, oh, because I didn't know anything about electronics at the time. And then just started doing that. And then graduated in 2007. But the big thing that happened to me that is sort of like the thing that sort of shaped my life since then is that my brother, who I was really close to in February of 2007, he was hit and killed by a drunk driver. And he lived out in California. He was pursuing an acting career. So that sort of just kind of turned everything upside down. And it's even saying that is kind of an understatement, because you just don't ever think anything you hear about stuff happening, but then all of a sudden, you get a phone call like that, and it's still sometimes it's just hard to believe that happened. And he was all about, following your passions and following your bliss. And that's actually how I got the name of the company. His name was Chase, and that whole mantra, follow your bliss. He was really into this guy named Joseph Campbell, who's kind of known for that concept.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
So that sort of like really changed my outlook on life. It took me a while to not just be like, it took about a year for me to not just be cripplingly sad, and so I did get a job out of school after I graduated there that I didn't like, and I was also started really, really struggling with my stuttering a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that I needed to do something about that. So I had gotten some speech therapy in the past, but I decided to get therapy again, and it was a different kind of therapy. I promise I'm getting to your answer. I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I also
that's okay.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
My therapy experiences as a youngster were all centered around this idea of trying not to stutter, trying to be fluent, and it was always like looking at stuttering from the perspective that is really negative. And
right.
And I started to learn about some new approaches and strategies that were more centered around, working with your stuttering and accepting your stuttering and being open about it, and not trying to avoid it. It was really emphasizing communication rather than judging success on whether or not you're stuttering. Otherwise, I mean, if success for you is not stuttering, it's just then the easy thing to do is just not to talk at all, because that guarantees you're not going to stutter. Right. But you're not going to be a very good communicator in that regard. Anyway, So I got really into that, and then I decided I want to switch careers and be a speech language pathologist. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I enrolled in graduate school and quit my job. And I decided that I still needed to have some kind of income, but I wanted it to be something that was really interesting and that I cared about. So I basically harassed Zach Vex at ZVEX for a while, and
nice.
Told him, hey, I'm an engineer. I got this undergraduate degree in electrical engineering, and I'll work for anything. Basically, like how can I, work for you? So then this little interesting thing happened where once I got the job at ZVEX and I was going to grad school for speech language pathology, I stuttering, like from all the work I was putting into it, it started to become like less and less of a barrier for communication for me. And then I started to become more and more interested in engineering and guitar pedals specifically. I just, I got the bug. And
it's a dangerous bug.
It is,
yes.
and it gets all of us, and it got me really hard. And I was also starting to play out in a band with some friends I'd never really, just never really felt like I had the confidence to do that. And so it was just like a lot of positive change in my life after a lot of like really tough times. And I kind of realized that I needed to keep working on this guitar pedal thing. So the part-time ZVEX job turned into a full-time job. I still went to graduate school, but I changed from full-time to part-time. Worked for ZVEX for 4 years, and then finally was coming up on my graduation for my master's degree, and it was kind of this weird decision time where I felt like I wanted to do that a little bit, like, maybe be a part-time speech therapist helping people who stutter. And then I also felt like, I was starting to want to pursue some of my own ideas for guitar pedals. And so ended up leaving ZVEX, but I still did contract work for them for about a year after that, just to, kind of smoothly transition. And, obviously that was sort of hard because, who wants to hear that their engineer employee like wants to start their own company, so that was kind of,
right.
sort of a tough
little
time.
Awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
like, hey, Zach, I want to be a direct competitor, by the way.
Yeah. Not the type of kind of conversation you want to hear as a business owner. And now, now I'm a business owner, so you can even, have more empathy for situations like that. But I was really honest about everything. And I think as much as that's unpleasant, I think it's always for the best to
I'm just waiting for my intern that day. He tells me he's going to go start his own podcast. I'll tell you, it's going to be a bad day.
It's going to be a tough day. You know what? It's going to be a tough day.
Oh man.
So then I started Chase Bliss, and I worked on warp vinyl every second I was able to, but I also, I was also finishing up my master's degree and working as a speech therapist a little bit, and then also doing the contract stuff for ZVEX. And I just not quickly, but it took a while, and I was like, you know what? I'm not so much into the speech therapy thing. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that I'm kind of more introverted. So like working that intimately with other people the whole day is just sort of draining for me. And it was turning into like my least favorite days when I would do therapy with people. And my favorite days were always if I had any time to work on warp vinyl. Like I was just like ravenous. Or wait, is that a word? Ravenous?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense, right? In that context?
It totally does.
Sweet.
Yes. You nailed it.
So like it just became obvious to me. It's like, this is what I love. This is my bliss. And released warp vinyl December of 2013, and then found another temporary engineering job that lasted for about a year. And then after that, I'd still just been working on Chase Bliss audio stuff any chance I was able to. And then a year after that, took the plunge to going full time Chase Bliss audio, and yeah, here we are. Now I've got a couple.
Here we are, and here we are today.
I got a couple employees, and we moved out of my basement about 2 months ago into a little shop. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like we're a real company.
I think you guys are legitimately a real company at this point. I think you've well earned that title, because it's kind of, you're on the tip of everybody's tongue. So I think you can call yourself a real company with confidence now.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yes. So one thing I wanted to dig into a little bit is you have really unique takes on effects, obviously. That's kind of the whole point. How do you go about like conceptualizing some of this stuff? Is there a process, or does it just kind of like those things come to you in the shower as they so often do?
Well, it's really interesting you're asking me this question right now because I had an idea yesterday, and I haven't been more excited about working on a pedal since the original Warp vinyl. I'm so excited about it, but it might be a spectacular failure. So
I doubt it.
I'm confident. Like it might be like a week from now. I'm going to run some tests to see if it's even going to work really, but it could be a thing where it just is not going to work, or it kind of works, but it sounds terrible. If it doesn't sound good, there's no point in it,
Yes. I totally know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, sometimes, with some of the pedals like tremolo or, with the delay, it was like, well, we're doing these modulation pedals. I really need to make a tremolo, and then like trying to figure out how to make one that I like, and with the delay, it's like everybody's asking for a delay basically since we started. So we should, and I love delays, but I mean, who doesn't love delays? But it was a thing like, I need to make a delay. Like, how can I make it cool? And this one, this new idea was more like more just inspiration, because I don't think, as far as I know, it's not. Yeah, it's different. Just different.
Mm-hmm. Well,
did
that's
that
exciting.
Answer your question?
No. But you have a new idea, and that's an exciting thing. So I'm sure you don't want to reveal that at this time, but we can do that when the mics aren't hot.
Not 100% sure what it is yet. What you'd even call it, but we'll see.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll re-ask it and see if maybe you can answer it. Well, it's kind of a difficult question because it's kind of like, how did you write that song? Okay. So the question was like,
it was
how do you how do you conceptualize these things? Do you like sit down and purposely try to like figure out a new thing, or do you does it just come to you and you engineer a way to make it happen?
Well, I guess I'll just talk about this last time because it's fresh in my head, but I think every way is a little different. Is that I saw this thing, and it was a little bit like something I'd thought about before. And then I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I had decided it wasn't possible. And then like 3 hours later, I was rollerblading around.
Yes.
Pushing my son in his
I love
stroller.
that you were rollerblading around.
And I was like, I was, my wife wasn't feeling well, so she didn't want to go to the park with my son and I was like sad that she wasn't feeling well, but I knew that it was going to be an opportunity for me to just sort of zone out. And other times if I zone out with my wife around, it's pretty frustrating because she'll ask me a question and like, I won't even know anyone else is talking. It's like really awful,
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit sorry. I didn't hear what you said. What did you just say?
Oh, I said I know the feeling.
Okay.
I do the same thing, and then I get punched.
Yeah. Well, and that's reasonable. Reasonable.
I think so too.
A punishment. So I was kind of excited because I was like, I know I'm going to have some zone out time here, and at some point in my head, I think I solved the problem that I thought was insurmountable. And so that was exciting. And then I just kept thinking about it. And then I just sketched out like a rough, conceptual idea about like what the knob parameters could be. And this will all, change through the development process, but it's just like a rough idea of what it could sound like. And then I was explaining it to my sales manager, Holly, this morning, and we have this big whiteboard. We got a freaking whiteboard in our workshop, which probably doesn't sound like a big deal to anybody. But when we were in my basement, there were no whiteboards. Now we have a whiteboard, and I just sort of like wrote out the idea and drew some stuff and explained it to Holly, and she thought it was cool. So anyway,
you're just like, yeah, it's just, I want to just say, what is it, Joel? What is it, Joel?
I know,
like,
and I want to tell
I know
you,
I shouldn't.
yeah.
I shouldn't ask that question.
Yeah,
but
just because there is
I'm mentally
like a pretty
saying,
good
what is it, Joe?
Sorry, what did you say?
I said I'm mentally
chatty.
Saying, what is it, Joel?
Yeah,
I like it. That's what. As it turns out, you need to talk on a podcast, or otherwise it just doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah,
it would just be an hour of silence.
I just, it's funny. I just did a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I could tell I have a little bit of different energy right now because I think I'm so excited about this idea. And
what show did you do?
It was called the Creative Path Podcast. The guy that does the podcast also has a little guitar pedal company called Mattoverse. His name's Matt, which I think is clever. Okay. Mattoverse. Like, what a great name. That. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I listened back to the podcast, and you know how, like that phenomenon when you hear your voice and it sounds weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate editing my show. I hate it. Not because I don't like hearing other people talk, but then I talk and it's like, do I really sound like that?
Well, yeah, it was weird because, one, I was stuttering a lot, which I usually don't care about. But then I felt bad because I sent him the local recording file from me. And it was something I did where, like, the S's, every time I stuttered, and now if people listen to this, they're not going to be able to listen to it because they'll be so annoyed by it like I was. Like, all the S's were, like, so prominent. And I was stuttering a lot.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So, you know that, the technique when you're recording called de-essing or whatever, where you remove those frequencies to make the S's less salient, I guess.
Yes.
I needed to do that, I think. What were you even, what did you just ask me about? I'm all over the place here.
Good question. I don't remember because I was like, I was excited. I like podcasts, so I was all excited to check out this other podcast. So,
okay. Yeah, he has had a lot of interesting
at the same time, it breaks my heart that you would cheat on me with another podcast. I can't believe you would do that.
I wasn't planning to cheat. Just one thing led to another. And,
It started out so innocently. We were just talking about pedals, and the next thing you know, the mic's hot, and we're just going. And I didn't know what to think, but it was fine.
But I think what's good is that we're talking at a time. Yeah, this is what we were talking about. We're talking at a time where I'm like really jazzed about something. So I'm hoping that when I listen to this when I listen to this podcast, I'll hate my voice slightly less.
Well, you're doing good. Okay. So I don't hate your voice.
Okay.
I think it's very marvelous and smooth.
Well, I actually like your voice a lot. So I don't know what you're talking about when you're saying you don't like your voice. You have a fine voice.
I think it's. Oh well, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. I could sound like I don't know who's. I'm trying to think of a celebrity with an annoying voice, the nanny or something, and that might be not a good choice for podcasting.
Different experience. One might not necessarily be a negative thing. Just be different.
just different. Not better or worse. Just different.
Hey, Rocky.
What's up, Vincent?
Did you hear about the latest?
Latest what?
The latest drop from Maris. It's totally insane.
No, tell me more.
Maris just released Enzo X.
What's that?
Enzo X is a supernova expansion from the original Enzo into the highest quality and most flexible studio synthesizer ever created in a pedal format.
Whoa!
Enzo X combines 5 synth types, 5 drives, 3 reverbs, and 5 modulations. It also includes a full 2.5 second stereo delay, all in one pedal.
That sounds hard to use.
It's not. The UI is from the same family as the Mercury X and the LVX. It's super easy to dive in and see exactly what you are tweaking in real time.
Oh, I see. It's right there on the screen.
Yep.
Is it just for guitars, though?
Nope. You can plug almost anything into the Enzo X, including your MIDI controller.
That sounds incredible. Where do I get it?
You can pick up Enzo X online at maris.us or at any of their fine retailers across the globe.
Did you just say across the globe?
They know what I meant.
Wait, are we getting paid for this?
I'm still waiting on that cash money from last time.
He better at least give us pizza for dinner.
I'm not giving him his Enzo X back until he does.
For more information, make sure you check out maris.us, and apparently I have to go order a pizza. How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services, and it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
So let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There are so many questions I want to ask you, and then we started talking about this and how you were zoned out while you were rollerblading, and I just have this image of you rollerblading through a park, like all like 90s out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you own a neon green T-shirt, but I'm imagining that's what you were wearing.
You know, man, I don't want to break up the fantasy, but I think I was wearing like a Chase Bliss audio shirt. It was pretty
well,
bland.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When you're in public, you got to be repping that stuff.
Well, it's not that. It's
especially
just that I don't
if you're rollerblading.
They're comfortable shirts. You know, it's more of a comfort thing. You know.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, and I have a lot of them. You don't want to be the guy in the
like
band
you made
that,
them or something.
You know, that wears the band shirt, right? That's not cool.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, I like my shirts too, so I wear them.
Yeah. Are you one of those people that wears cool clothes? Do you have cool clothes?
You met me. I'm not very cool.
See,
if you remember. Of course, it was NAMM, and it's hard to remember everything, but I'm not very cool, no.
NAMM, a lot of like people have cool clothes, and I'm not one of them. And my employees, they have cool clothes. So I asked them, is there like a secret store where you guys get these, and apparently they're called thrift stores.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh. Now we know. You know, I'm in Portland. I should know these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't wear cool enough clothes.
Yeah, I don't have cool clothes, but I kind of want.
No.
I want to have cool.
You want
clothes.
to wear cool clothes?
Yeah.
Just have your employees take you shopping, and you'll be all decked out.
That. Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe you can advise me on how to dress cooler, because half the time I'm just wearing like a t-shirt and pants. And
here's the thing, though: most people that wear cool clothes aren't even aware that they're wearing cool clothes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So maybe you actually do wear cool clothes.
I don't think I do. I'm pretty sure that I don't. I don't know.
And welcome back to the Cool Clothes Podcast, where we try to see how many times Joel and I can say cool clothes before people shut it off.
Oh, man. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
So you talked about lately you've been playing live, or not lately, but you started playing live as you kind of became more comfortable with that stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you play, and what kind of bands are you in, or how's that kind of manifesting itself?
Yeah, the main project I was playing in is called Ghost Towns of the West. And
I like that.
Yeah, it's rock.
I like that a lot. That's a good name.
Thanks. It's kind of long, but it's rock music, and I think we were getting a little bit more into psychedelic sort of genres before everyone moved away. And I've just started up a band again because my main friend, who had moved to California, and was one of the reasons why Ghost Towns of the West isn't playing anymore. He moved back home, and we're playing together again. And it's more poppy, I guess. I don't know. It's all rock music. Like there's 2 guitars and drums and a bass guitar. And then in Ghost Towns of the West, we had a keyboard player who also played sax, which was pretty cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So when you say like rock, though, like, is it like kind of more of a grunge focused thing, or like a 70s kind of jam, or what do you mean? Rock's a broad category these days.
Well, it was pretty, quite a lot of variety because it wasn't just one songwriter. All of us were contributing songs. So, and you know, we grew up in the 90s, so there's always some influence there. But then as I got more heavy into effects, I think that sort of influenced things too. I don't know. Some guy said that it sounded
in like a shoegaze type of way, or
kinda. Some guy said that one of our songs I posted sounded like Soundgarden, and then I listened to it and I'm like, oh, I guess it kind of does.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's weird how some people can draw things out of it, and then you go, oh, I don't even listen to that band very much, but yeah, it kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar thing happen where, I was told by Michael Adams, who's been on the show a couple times, that our band sounded like the Frames.
Oh,
and I was like, I don't even listen to the Frames. What are you talking about? And I went and listened to the Frames, and it turns out he was right. It was kind of an interesting situation.
Yeah, because if you sounded exactly like the bands you really like, that would be kind of weird.
It would. I mean, you can definitely tell there's influences there, but it's, it's not a clone, which is, kind of important with music, I think.
And guitar pedals sometimes.
And guitar pedals. Yeah. And, well done. There's no clones in your lineup. That's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to definitely avoid that. Although I will say that the womb tone was inspired by the Mutron Phaser 2.
Oh, okay.
If you looked at the schematics, you'd be like, really? Maybe. But it definitely is. It sounds kind of.
No, that's what I say when I look at schematics. I say, really?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I ended up changing a lot more than I actually thought I would, but it would, for me, not to say it wasn't inspired by that would be disingenuous, I think.
I see.
Because I love that phaser. My goodness.
It is really cool.
It's a good one.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Phaser, I've talked about it before, but that's something of a recent thing that I found out I loved. I didn't know that I loved it, but I actually do.
Yeah.
And I got the Solid Gold Effects Apollo 2.
Oh, nice.
And that's what made me realize I actually like phaser.
I haven't played that one, but I watched a few videos on it. It's like, yeah, that one seems really cool.
It definitely is. Definitely. And now I need a womb tone. I need them all. And then your pedal, just from demos alone, I haven't got to play this one yet, but I didn't think I liked Flanger either. But Spectre has, I think, changed my mind about that.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
pretty sure.
It's weird with Spectre. It's definitely been like the most polarizing of all the pedals. That one feels like the most risky sonically. Mm-hmm. So it's not for everybody for sure. But I really like it, and it's nice to hear from some people that really love it, but then some people don't like it.
I think, that's definitely on the short list is Spectre, because I was like just watching, and then you like posted and I reposted a clip of Dylan with Roe playing it the other day, and I was like, I love it even more now.
Yeah, that was fun for me because that's the one pedal of mine that he doesn't have. And so I was like, I was telling him like, well, some people don't like this about it, or some people don't like that. And I was like kind of showing everything. And then it seemed like he really liked it a lot. And so that was kind of cool. I wasn't really expecting him to like it as much as he did. I thought he would like it or say he would like it because, it's kind of rude to just tell someone to their face they don't like something they made. But if he actually doesn't like Spectre, he is a really good actor because he made it seem like he did. It's really fun especially like my favorite way to use Spectre is just put just gnarly stuff in front of it. And we were playing around with the Earthquaker devices, Bit Commander, and those two pedals especially. I think there's some really cool stuff that happens. So he was enjoying. I
love the Bit Commander.
Oh man, it's so fun.
I have one of those, so I'm halfway there.
Yeah, that's what you should do. If and when you try or have a Spectre, they're friendly with each other.
I'm very excited now. I'm really weird. Like when I think about new sounds that I can make, I get like way too excited. I think like my wife sometimes is like, "Calm down. Like it's fine." I'm like, no, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I haven't felt. This brings me back to what I'm trying to work on right now. Like I'm so excited about this sound. Sorry, I keep talking about it.
And I'm excited about it too, and I don't even know what it is.
You know what? Once I'm comfortable enough that it's happening, maybe me and you can have a secret conversation about it.
Oh, I loved. That's one of the best things about like doing what I do in this gear world is I get to have so many secret conversations,
secrets,
and I feel like a cool kid. I'm like, I know something you don't know, but I don't tell anybody that I know it because then they'll just ask me all the time. But I'm riddled. Yeah, I'm riddled with secrets.
I'm usually pretty upfront about stuff. I think it kind of takes people off guard. Like someone will be emailing me and they'll be like, "What are you working on?" And I'll just tell them. Like a normal company would be like, I might, it's someone I've never met before, but I'll just say, well, keep it between us, as if I can trust this stranger. But I think normal companies that know what they're doing about marketing and stuff, they're smarter about stuff like that.
What are you working on, Joel? Oh, an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
But keep it between you and I. Don't let anyone know. So, here's a good question. This is something I've been wondering about. I'm glad I remembered it. Which of your pedals because they all have a lot going on, obviously. Which of your pedals was the most challenging for you to work on and actually see it through to completion?
I would say that, it's easier for me to talk about to start. I'm going to answer your question, I promise. But I think womb tone and gravitas were the easiest because, womb tone, like I said, I started out with that neutron framework. And then with gravitas, it was just more applying a bunch of stuff I already knew how to do. And like modulating volume actually isn't that difficult. Okay, so then that would leave the 3 remaining pedals, which is tonal recall and Spectre and warp vinyl. Warp vinyl was extremely difficult because I had to design, the digital control kind of platform that I use. And I had to start from the beginning, and that one, it's harder to do that. That's that pitch modulation.
Right.
And Spectre had a ton of issues that were tough, and then tonal, it's like all 3 of those both. I feel like the tonal recall was like the worst because there's so much riding on it, and it's so many people that were interested in it, and there's this tremendous amount of pressure, and then there was all these problems that came up, like way later than they should have. I was just miserable. It wasn't fun at all at the last little while with that. And you and I were talking a little bit because you were trying to get me to do the podcast, and I was like, I was in a dark place. I seriously was. Like, I'm kind of joking. Actually, I'm not even joking. Like, it was pretty awful, personally and professionally.
Oh, no.
But it all worked out somehow.
Okay, good.
Just a lot of hard work and no sleep, and being, my wife asking me a question 3 times and me not even hearing it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Goodhertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblinssaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
Good times.
Well, I'm sorry that I was harassing you during your difficult time.
No, you weren't harassing me. You were actually really understanding, which I appreciated. You really were, and that's why I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen because it took a lot of stabs at it, but here we are.
Hey, it's still not the hardest or the longest in process.
Nice. Yes.
The longest in process one was Philippe.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
That was I thought it was like 9 months, but then I went back and looked at like like the first email I sent him, and it was like a year.
Oh man, that's awesome. That makes me feel way better. It wasn't even close to that. What was it, like 3 months? No, and it was
not really. Yeah, it was like 3 months. Well, I mean, maybe we talked 4. About it at NAMM.
Oh, that's
but
true.
Like, I didn't actually hit you up though, like to do it until like 3 months ago.
Okay.
So that's okay. And actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's been a little less consistent with the communication, but Nick Greer's, I hit him up right around the same time as Philippe, and we still haven't done it yet. so don't feel bad.
Okay, so if it ever works out with Nick, then that's going to be the new record.
That'll be the new record, exactly. And I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
It's partially like we were going to do it several times, and you know how these things work.
Yeah. We almost didn't do it today. And then we're just like, let's just do it
today. Like, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
No. And people will probably listen to this going, well, these guys are all jerks. They keep blowing you off. No, half of it's me. Like trying to get to people's schedule who are kind of just inherently busy all the time to line up is extremely difficult.
Yeah, and you're busy too.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, blah. In a different way, but yes. So anyway, so the answer to that question was Spectre, warp vinyl, and then tonal recall being the cherry on top.
Yeah. I definitely had the most negative feelings associated with tonal recall as far as like the stress involved. But I don't think that was really your question. Yours was like the hardest technical challenges, right?
Well, no, not really. I just asked which one was most challenging.
Oh, okay.
So if it's emotionally more challenging, then that's the most challenging one.
Yeah, I would say tonal recall. I think, if you were just looking at the technical aspect of it, it would have been more vinyl because that one, I had to write all that code and develop that digital control platform that I'm able to it's not like I have to rewrite all that stuff for every pedal. I'm able to reuse a lot of code fragments, and
right.
And so I think that from a purely technical perspective, just because all the work involved, it was the original warp vinyl, but that was also super fun. And like, I didn't have an email address, I was just working on a project. I didn't have, social media. It was just like super, super fun. Whereas with tonal recall, it was fun, but there was so much on the line, like emotionally, financially, and also just very, very technically challenging to do what I'm trying to do. So that one, it was the most challenging.
Well, the good news is based on our conversation we had off the air, it paid off though. So that's the light at the end of the tunnel on that one.
Yep, it did.
Everyone's freaking out about it in a good way. So I think mission accomplished.
It's mostly the more critical feedback that I hear about it is that they want it to sound like some other delay they like, and that response to that's always like, well, just play the delay you like, then.
Well, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like whatever. I'm like, then go get that thing.
Exactly.
What's the point of having this new cool, device if you just want the other thing?
Especially if it's,
it doesn't make any sense.
In production and made overseas and affordable, why would I make that thing that you can easily buy?
Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yeah, I've seen that in a couple places, and I'm just like, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
or people think it's too expensive, which I totally get. I think I said this on the other podcast. It's like I can't get mad at a version of myself from like 10 years ago, if because I used to think everything was too expensive, but then once you make something that's nice and you realize what it costs, then like the truth is I wouldn't be able to afford one of my own pedals probably. which is kind of sad, but that's just the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's been talked about on the show before, many times.
Oh yeah,
like what goes into it, and then what you actually, it costs that much for a reason.
Yeah,
and it isn't because you're just rolling in them Benjamins, you know. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but like that I haven't said already, I guess. It's just it costs what it costs for a reason, and it isn't because you or anyone else is getting wealthy. That's kind of the end of the story there. Mm-hmm. I don't know of any Bill Gates pedal billionaires. Do you?
I don't. I think that it's just not a good industry if you're. Well, I don't know. I don't know like all the companies everywhere, but you know, the pedal industry is pretty close and people talk a lot, and you know, people do it because it's just so fun.
Yeah.
Unless you get super stressed.
It's kind of like
mostly fun.
Mostly fun, exactly. Well, that's kind of like, you know, I talk to Brian Wampler every week on Chasing Tone also, so
cool.
I'm multi-podcasting. I just realized something. I was getting after you for cheating on my podcast, but I realized I cheat on my own podcast all the time.
You do?
Oh, no.
You sort of...
That's so weird. Well...
That's okay. It's all working out as long as you're honest about it, right? You know,
as long as
all the podcasts are on the same page and they all know about it. It's all good.
But yeah, it's all fine.
I'm not sure where I was going with that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like make a joke, and then I don't know. I don't want to make that joke.
I'm just trying to make you feel better about your infidelity. I probably should have. I should just probably tell you to stop. Just focus on one. You know,
just focus on one and pour all your love into that one.
Yeah,
one podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brian would get mad at me.
Yeah,
I can't have him mad at me.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that was, you know, he's talked about it too. Is it's not really about like becoming a gazillionaire. It's about going to bed on Sunday and being excited for Monday morning instead of what most of us do, which is so I think that is worth the headaches, I should say. I would think
I agree.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We're getting close, but we still have time for a couple more.
Okay.
So normally at this point, I would be asking you if you had anything really exciting coming up, but we've kind of been talking about that the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's a mystery sound device that I'm going to go wild in my imagination with, and I can't wait to know more. So then that would bring us to the classic question that usually comes up on the Tone Mob podcast, which is, what kind of pizza do you like?
Man, see, I'm one of those people that it's kind of gross. I'm sort of a human garbage disposal, and I'll eat anything.
Anything?
But I mean, edible things for sure.
Okay.
I think that if I were to just order a pizza right now, it'd have a lot of veggies on it, for sure. And, you know, the meat, it would probably depend on the menu. I mean, one thing I like to do a lot is just ask the waiter or the waitress what to get, because they're the professionals, you know?
Well, that's true.
So
that's a good point.
I know what I like, but I also want some suggestions.
Right. Some variety.
Yeah.
But what if it is one of those things where like I mean, you love guitar pedals, obviously.
Mhm.
That's well established. But you spend all day, every day with them, and you're, tweaking and tuning and thinking about pedals and pedals and pedals. Do you ever get, to a point where you're just like, I don't want to look at guitar pedals for just a little bit. And I think that the waitress might feel the same way about pizza.
Oh. I was going to say it's actually kind of the opposite for me, because what I spend too much time doing that I don't like is like emailing and like doing administrative stuff from the business that I actually wish I could spend more time with guitar pedals. So even though I'm around them all the time, it feels like I don't get to spend enough time like playing guitar and playing with pedals. Maybe the pizza lady feels like that way. Maybe she's around pizza all the time, but she never gets to take a bite.
Right, she's just carrying it and looking at it and smelling it, doing everything that's fun except the actual eating of the pizza. Except for the eating. And so then maybe she would actually really like to have a little snack at the end of her shift. Oh, man, you're a wise man.
Well, not so much. I'm just really trying to drive in this pizza analogy.
It's interesting that you brought that up, because I've kind of noticed that myself. Is I actually have, like, kind of when I started doing all this, not at the same time, but I started taking guitar lessons a couple of years ago because I'm not very good, and
me too.
I needed to get better. Yeah, and it was really paying off. But then I started doing this and getting more gear focused, and I just didn't have time to take the lessons anymore. And as a result of that, I just kind of hit that wall where it was helping, and then I hit the wall and stopped taking lessons, and now I'm still just I just hit the guitar and hope that sound comes out of it, basically.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's interesting that you brought up that, you don't get to play the pedals as often. And it's like, I don't get to, practice as often, because I'm like, I'll get something from somebody and they'll be like, tell me what you think of this. And so I'll have to sit down and kind of just critically think about what it sounds like. Yeah. More so than what I'm playing.
Yeah. So you have to play stuff that you sort of have like a sonic blueprint or understanding of what you probably play some like huge chord that what it sounds like when you played through something similar, so you can kind of compare. Yeah, I get that.
Exactly. So it's like, it's not, and oftentimes, like, you don't want to play like the super complicated things through it, because you're really trying to listen. You're not trying to shred. You're just trying to, what does this pedal sound like? Yeah. So that I can tell the guy what I think about it. So that he can, do what, that's why he sent it to me. He didn't send it to me for his health. So yeah, it's kind of weird that my playing has suffered as my gear collection has expanded.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I think it happens to a lot of people.
I need to fix that.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard balance, I think, to, you get really into gear to not, to keep the balance where you're also working on improving the proficiency of your instrument. But, I think there's also something to be said about, when you play a lot with effects like I do, you're also learning how they interact with each other, and, you're improving at the nuance of playing with an effect. So even though you might not be able to do some impressive run or something, you're improving in another way, which I don't know. I'm super biased, but I think that's, of equal importance to me.
Yeah, you are learning how to craft new sounds.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're playing with others, you're learning how to play with others and how to make, some interesting sound that you're working with, how to make that sit in the context of other instruments. stuff,
which is kind of a skill, in and of itself.
Absolutely.
To your point, I know a lot of much more talented guitar players than I that they're like, what are them foot pedals?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a kind of a different skill set, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pat each other on the back now because we feel better.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We're good.
We're totally good.
We know what we're doing.
Totally 100% good.
Yeah.
So, well, Joel, we're right there at that hour mark.
Sweet.
I should let you. I mean, I could probably talk to you all day. That would be cool with me, but
I think we'll probably do this again. I'm getting that vibe.
Okay.
Someday.
Let's do that.
All right.
Let's pencil that in the calendar. I don't think anyone's going to be offended about it.
All right. I don't think so either.
Okay. Well, for the last couple minutes here, do you have anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? Where should they go? And all that good stuff.
Well, we do have a website. I mean, I know that's shocking. ChaseBlissAudio.com. If you want to talk to me, just email me at joel@ChaseBlissAudio.com. One kind of cool thing we've recently introduced is one complaint we used to get a lot about our manuals and literature we send with the guitar pedals is that we didn't have presets or, example settings. Well, we fixed that now, and we have example settings that were created by Mason Stoops, who's an amazing guitarist, and he recorded all of them, or recorded something with all of the example settings, and they're up on our SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/ChaseBlissAudio. And that's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I'm pretty excited that it finally happened.
Sweet. That's awesome. I'm going to check that out. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Joel.
Thank you, Blake.
I'm so glad we were able to do this.
Yeah, right on.
I'm going to go ahead and close the show out the classic way. So for Joel, this is Blake, and good luck and good tones.
There you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Wow, that was a trip for me to go back and check out. It's weird. It's weird. You've been doing it one way for so long, you sometimes forget exactly how you started. It does not feel like that was almost a decade ago. That feels like maybe 4 years ago. Weird. So weird. And wow, how different everything has become, yet how the same it still is at the same time. And if you want to hear another very old recording with my good friend Brian Wampler from about the same era, I think it was actually maybe a couple months before this episode, go over to Patreon, where for $5 a month, you not only get access to the ad-free feed of this podcast, but you get to get bonus episodes beamed right to your ears every single week. And I think you're going to enjoy this one. If you've been around for any amount of time, you're going to have fun with this. All right, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for coming along on this long, weird ride. There's a lot more coming this year. I can't wait to share it with you all. I really appreciate you so much. It really does mean the world to me. All right, folks, talk to you on the internet very soon. Alrighty, folks, you've made it to the cool kids section of the podcast, where you are going to hear the first time I appeared on the Chasing Tone podcast. The Chasing Tone podcast, if you don't know, is a show that I have been doing with my friend Brian Wampler since about 10 years ago when I did this episode. It's been crazy. I thought I was just going to be a guest temporarily, just to kind of help see what direction the show was going to go in. I thought it might become more like Tone Mob, where Brian interviewed people or had random guests, but it evolved into many years of just Brian and I just babbling back and forth until the most recent edition of the show, which is Brian, myself, and our good friend Richard Oliver from across the pond. And that's been going for the last few years. But Chasing Tone is a show that inspired me to start this show and kind of do my own thing. So it was really crazy to become a part of it officially, sort of unofficially later. It's been really a trip. And this is the first time I appeared on Chasing Tone almost a decade ago. So similar circumstances here. I'm recording probably on my iPhone with earbuds, possibly in the Fuel Lab, though sometimes I did record those in the Shred Shed. The technology was in this weird flux state at the time where it was actually easier to record on my mobile device than it was on my desktop and get decent quality. So it was really weird, but we did it, and we've been doing it ever since. So Chasing Tone is another place you can hear me blabber on the internet, and I hope you enjoy this little slice of history. All right, here we go.